Good morning. Happy Saturday morning here in America, and it's the middle of the afternoon in England, and I'm going to be talking to Giuseppe Forestieri momentarily, but I need to do an intro. It's actually June 25th. It's the end of June. The intro is how Giuseppe and I met through the magic of LinkedIn, and there's great chemistry and affinity and synchronicity and commonality because Giuseppe is actually from Italy, which is one of my favorite places on earth. We just spent a good deal of time talking about my affectation with Italy and the fact I worked for very successful business people, Luxottica, who are legends in Italy and around the world. And I spent 25 years there. So we're talking about a chunk of my life. And it was the best part of my life because I learned so much. But anyway, this is Conversation with Calvin, We the Species. And it's important to say why I call it We the Species, because we really are one species, and it's so dramatic when I say we the species, because we're one species on this one little planet, and climate, we share the perils of climate change, every one of us in every one of the four corners of the planet. So we have to all rise up and work together because we're one species. Then this is our home. And I met Giuseppe, and here's the title. I always like to read the title, get it right, of this particular interview. Giuseppe Forestieri, live from England. It's 3:30 in England. That's great. He's the director of Motion Aptitude, which is a fully remote 2D animation studio. He's also an environmental enthusiast, which was what drew us together because we're both that. His focus is nature conservation and animal welfare. And he reconnects with people with nature through compelling animated stories. I wanted to get this out exactly right. And I'm so magnetized because what Giuseppe does is part of who and what I am, and I've been this way since April 22nd, 1970, which means I'm dating myself when I went to the first Earth Day and realized we have problems, and that's 50 plus. That's like a half century. So I'm really dating myself. Over a half century ago, I realized we've got to do things climatologically and environmentally. So Giuseppe and I met. We talked a couple of weeks ago. We've been communicating, and I'm so thrilled about that. And I looked at his animation, and it's like, oh wow! I mean, you're like a really amazing artist. So I've said my and I got the dates right and stuff. It's Saturday. I've said my intro, and it's time now to introduce Giuseppe. I guess it would be really perfect if you'd introduce yourself and tell us, about what you do and how you got to England.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Take it away, Giuseppe.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to your podcast. It's for me, it's a pleasure and a great opportunity. So yeah, I have background in visual communication, and I specialize in animation and illustration. And as you mentioned, I'm based in Oxford, UK, England. And the reason I've been living here for the last 9 years now. And the reason I came here back then was because I have got a grant from the European Union that allowed me to do an internship here in the UK. And that was 9 years ago. So since then, I just decided to live in this country because I love it, and I quite like the opportunity it gives you. So going back to what I do, I create animation. I start with a story, and then with the visual compelling animated characters, I drive people in a way to care about what we do in terms of like the planet and then the environment. I started as an animator, and I basically decided to use my skills to fulfill me as a person, and trying to combine my expertise with my passion of mine, which is nature.
So you now focus on nature conservation. Why did you decide to use this niche in your animations to communicate stuff that's
Yeah.
related to the environment?
Yeah, at some point in my career, I felt I was career-wise, I felt I was lost. Even though I was happy in the work I was doing, I felt that something was missing. So I stopped, and I thought, no, this is something that I have to work on. I have to find something that fulfill me as a person, rather than creating things for the sake of it. So over the years, then I went from how I move keyframes to why I move them, giving a reason why I wake up in the morning, doing something that has a meaning for me. So I've decided to fuse these two passions of mine, which is the love for the outdoors and the creativity. I'm a big fan of kiteboarding and snowboarding. So nature and the environment is something that I really care about, not just for this, but in general. I grew up in a farm, so I always had an eye on nature and on animals. So I decided, what, I have to try a way to combine these two things, and at this point, I'm really happy about where I am, and then because I help organization to reconnect people with nature through our animations.
Which is great. Just to reiterate, your company is Motion Aptitude.
Yes.
And I'm going to have all the links in your LinkedIn, and people will be able to reach out and find you. That's really important. By the way, where'd you grow up in Italy?
I'm from Sicily, so yeah. Yes. Yes.
No, I was in Sicily a couple of years ago. I always wanted to go to Sicily. After I watched that movie, The Godfather.
Yes.
And I always wanted to go to Corleone, and I actually realized that it's a real place.
Yes, it is. It's a small village close to
little
Palermo.
village on a mountain. I was a big fan of that movie, and it drew me closer to Italian culture. It just did, and then the beauty of Italian culture and the beauty of Italy, and of course, eventually, I went there. Part of working for Luxottica, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I finally get a chance to go to Italy. I wasn't in Sicily. I was up in the Dolomites in the Northeast.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beautiful. I mean,
yeah.
My goodness, this, the snow on the mountaintops, these magnificent mountains that you don't know a lot about, in these small, wonderful, amazing towns. And I guess having worked for the richest Italian in the world, Del Vecchio, when he takes us out to dinner, because I was a manager for them, everybody wants to please this man. So we go to these most amazing restaurants. I was so spoiled when I went to Italy, because it wasn't a traditional trip to Italy. This was, he was a legend in this country, and he's taken us to these most amazing restaurants, and the food was beyond. It was so great, because in front of as we went into some of these restaurants, in front of every place setting, there was like 8 different glasses for wine. And different shaped glasses, different size. and in each course we'd have a different wine, and you could drink all night because the wine in it is like pure. There's no sulfites. So we ate and we drank all night long. We were fine. It was anyway. But a couple of years ago, we went back in Italy, my wife and I and friends, and I fulfilled a lifelong dream to go to Sicily, just to be there. So anyway, that's why I'm excited talking to you. So back to work. So what is the essence? What's so great about using animation to
Yeah,
communicate?
so yeah, I mean, animation is a great medium. It's a great tool to convey emotions, to tell stories. Can be used to really boost conversation on social medias. And what's so great about it is that it all starts with a great story. It's a great story that conveys the message across. And if you combine a good story with great visuals and in a compelling way to present it, then it becomes a really powerful tool. And I would say, especially nowadays on social media, where unfortunately the attention span is very short, through this media, through animation, we are really able to engage people, attract people. In my case, I'm trying to raise awareness and drive people to act on issues related to wildlife, issue related to the environment. So it really is a great powerful tool, also because you can, as an organization, if you use animation, it can be a nice way to appeal to donors, people that might support your organization. And then it's also a great way to educate youngsters, to inform people about the issues of nature conservation and educate youngsters about the importance of taking care of our planet. So it's definitely a powerful tool to convey messages across.
And it's powerful because it's visual, and people
Yes.
respond so much to visual.
Yes. In our animation, we use a lot of characters, as a way for the people to relate more. If we use characters in animation, that people can see that even though they might look like a cartoon or like in a flat style, for example, they're still like a nice way because they can see actions and they can see that people are related to this world. And then you can create world that you couldn't otherwise be doing with video. For example, that you can create worlds that don't exist because you can really let your creativity run wild, So yes, for this reason, I truly believe it's a great, powerful tool.
Powerful tool. It's interesting. My granddaughter, I spent a lot of time with my granddaughter. She's 1 year old, and we watch animation on YouTube, and she's completely mesmerized. She's completely glued to the animation, and the next day I put the same thing on and she watches so intensely, but it captures her. It really captures her attention like it would for all of us. Do you have any tips for somebody who wants to go into animation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it always starts with a good story. The story is important because you first of all you need to understand who you want to communicate to, and then what you want to communicate, and then we as a studio, we help organization to come together and try to come up with a good idea to build a story. The narrative is the key point. So once we do that, we create visuals that are, of course, related to the script, to the story. And then what we do is most of the times we use voiceovers, a good voiceover that can bring the whole story to life as well as the visuals. And then we basically sometimes use sound effects to help even more to bring all the old things to life. So the good tip I would say is to try to go to the essence of your story. not to add so many details in it, and really focus on what you want to say. You know, I generally tend to advise to keep your story very short, you know, because you want to really grab the attention. For the issue I told you earlier, you know, the attention span on social media, it's a big thing. You know, people only watch things from 5 seconds to 30 seconds, you know, even though the story is great, but you might not engage everybody if it's not something that it's interesting, it's something that is in a short form as well.
Okay. You're so right about attention span. We all need to find some kind of magic. And I think animation, by the way, I think animation is a great tool to capture more attention time from people, because I personally think it's a great tool. You know, somebody would rather see an animated thing than looking at me wearing this hat.
Yeah, there are many things that you can communicate with, like colors. You know, colors is a great tool, you know, that conveys emotions. You know,
yeah,
you might, it depends what color you use, you can really bring people to different worlds and allow them to experience different realities in a way, you know.
exactly. What is your for Motion Aptitude, what is your mission statement?
Yeah, so we want to educate and inform people about our natural world. You know, through our animation, we really want to engage them and let them aware of the issue of the natural conservation world. And I truly believe that raising awareness, though, is not enough anymore. You know, we want to try to drive people to act on issues related to the environment, you know. And we work close with the organization. They want to do exactly that. And we decided to focus on this because it's something that we really care about. And we only do this because we are passionate about this.
Okay. You know, listening to you and all the stuff you're doing, how do you think all this energy, this commitment, this mission, this purpose has changed you as a person?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I felt that throughout my years, throughout my careers, I felt that I was missing something. You know, I was so focused on the visual aspect of it, just for the sake of creating something that might appear good. Then I thought, I have to fulfill also my person, and I want to personally be fulfilled by something that has a meaning to me and has a meaning to the people, trying to help someone and to help the planet to be healthy in a way. So then I decided I have to fuse these passions of mine and my skills, use my skills to effectively create something that has a meaning.
Okay. I want to go off topic for 1 minute and ask you a Calvin, one of my favorite questions. You don't have to answer it. It's a one-word answer. You could answer it with a couple things. It's kind of a cute question. So here goes. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Like someone that, like a famous person, or it could be anyone?
It could be, no, it could be anybody, not famous, just somebody you'd like to spend a day with.
I mean, one of the person I really esteem as a person, I like as a character, as a personality, is Barack Obama. You know, he really changed. You know, I don't want to go into politics. You know, I just appreciate him as a person.
It's a great
answer. And And I believe he was great. He was a great communicator, beside what he did politically, which is something I'm not interested about, but the way he communicated to people, and he still does. I read his book, and then I loved listening to him when he talks and reading what he has to write, what he has to say, because he really inspires me as a person. So I would definitely, ideally, have a
Yes.
coffee and a chat
Great
with
answer.
him.
Great answer. Yep. Okay, moving along. I'm always curious about this. What is your secret to staying? Because listening to you, you are so inspired and motivated. You're young, but what is your secret to staying that way, inspired and motivated?
Yeah. When I started my career, I really spent a lot of effort in doing the work, which I still do, don't get me wrong. But over the years, I realized the importance of switching off and take care of the people next to you, and spend your time doing the things that you love, your passions, going for a walk, detach your mind, switch off your mind from your work. It's very important for me to recharge my batteries and to really get creative again, because with creative work, sometimes you reach a point where there is no more ideas and there is nothing you can do. There is no button you can push. They just come. The ideas just don't come in. And so the importance of switching off, doing your passions. I'm a big fan of snowboarding and kite surfing. For example, I tend to spend the summer in Italy, working from there, and I'm happy to do that because it really gives me a lot of creative power again to then put all this energy into my work. Back when I started, I was really working 10 hours per day, even after work, when I was an employee, and concentrate on the technique, exploring new things, which is good in a way, because it's a great way to explore new things visually, ideas and stuff. But if you switch, then as the years came by, I realized that if I stop, I am more productive than if I would work 10 hours per day, for example. So switching off is the answer.
Yeah,
sometimes.
interesting. So far to date, with all the work you've done, what is the thing you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I really care about and let me feel good as a person is trying to help someone with what I got. I mean, not everybody can help someone else with money, but in my case, I sometimes help with my skills, my expertise, and my time. So sometimes I like to offer my skills for organizations, small organizations that could otherwise afford my animations. So one of the projects I'm really proud of is an animation I've done for the Blue Cross, which is an animal welfare organization here in England. So they were looking to produce an animation to basically try to involve volunteers and help the organization with what they could offer was like, to me, was just the creative freedom. So I was happy to have the creative freedom and to try to help them in a way that they could otherwise be offered in a different way. So I'm quite proud of that. And I truly believe and advise people to volunteer their skills, for trying to help someone else. You don't have to offer money if you have, right, or if you don't want, but you can offer your time, which is sometimes more valuable than the money itself.
Exactly. That's great thinking. you're a young guy. And it's such great thinking to want to give
Yeah,
back. And
you know what? When I did this, I wasn't expecting nothing back at all, and I was doing this because I felt I could give something back, and I could, in a way, use my creativity to do some work that I was proud of, and I did. And you know what? Eventually, they came back to me 2 years later, and they offered me something to do. Like in this case, they had budget for it. So you never know.
you never
You do
know.
something for good, and then it comes back to you in a way. I wasn't expecting nothing back. Eventually, I received something. So it's always good.
It is good. Yeah, we said this before we went on air. Just keep throwing stuff on the wall and and see what sticks. And the more you throw on the wall, I've been doing that for the last 11 years. I just keep throwing things on the wall, and it's so interesting to see what sticks. The next question I want to ask you is, to me, is so provocative. We could talk about it for hours, which we won't. But your philosophy about remote work, and you're a big fan of working remotely. And the more I think about it, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been watching it as my children, my son and daughter-in-law, work remotely, that in fact this could be a saving grace for humanity, that the whole world isn't jumping in a car and driving to go to work, but is working remotely. So talk about your positivity and why you love remote working, which you do.
Yeah. So talking to a lot of my people my age, I'm a millennial. So I had the feeling that, and I can talk to myself for sure, that the priorities for our generation has switched, to like less money focus to more of like giving value to something else. And in my case, I give value to a well-balanced lifestyle, which means having free time to do the things you love and spend time with your family. And recently, as you know, COVID gave us a lot of bad news, more bad than the good ones. But among the good ones, we can definitely have we have the ability now and the awareness that we can do the work from the comfort of our home. We can do work from like co-working spaces. And business owners have now realized that it's now a possibility to work this way. It is not a limitation, but it can be a benefit, And I do understand that this doesn't apply to every job or to everyone. There are people that are probably more productive in the office. But one of the key elements, I believe it's important, is to give the possibility, the choice of the employee to work where he or she feels more productive, more comfortable. I used to work far from where I lived, like about 1 hour commuting. And, that makes 2 hours per day. Time that I could otherwise invested in doing exercise with my family, on any other thing that might let you grow as a person, as a professional, as anything. If you want to do extra work, you can do it for yourself. But spending this time on a commuting is something that it doesn't make any sense to me. So I think remote work is a bridge to a higher quality of life for sure.
It's interesting. I have a friend who used to work in the city in an office and commuting, 1 hour each way, just like you. And then the pandemic hit, and he switched he worked at home 100% of the time. And it's so interesting because he would tell me when the pandemic was easing up, they were bringing people back 2 days a week. And I'm an old-fashioned guy. To me, I could never conceive of working from home. My values are, from the 50s and 60s. You gotta go to work. There was no such thing as working from home back in those days. So, but anyway, and I find this so interesting because now my friend goes into the city twice a week into New York, and works in an office, but he tells me that his productivity drops 30-40% when he's working in the office because they meet at the water cooler, they talk, they go out to lunch, they talk, they bump into each other, they talk more, but when he's home, he's just working. There's nobody to talk to, and I find that so interesting. I couldn't conceive of it being so much more productive and environmentally better working from home. So I just,
Yeah, I mean, giving people the choice to do and to work where they like, it's really important. And also most people, I talk also to people that they think they're more productive in the office. But that's not the point. The point is to give the opportunity to choose where they want to work, and then I really believe it really enhances your life, the quality of your life if you are happy to work where you want.
Exactly. Interesting stuff. You're, by the way, you're so interesting, Giuseppe. We could. There's a million more things to talk about, but not now. But which means I'd love you to come back. One last question. I was intrigued about this. What is your thoughts about? What are your thoughts? Your hope for the future of the planet? You're a young guy. It's your planet.
Yeah, I mean, my vision as a person and as a creative is to inspire a new generation of action-driven environmental enthusiasts. By saying that, I mean that I believe that if we want change, whatever it is, either related to climate or change something in our society, I believe that it needs to be in a small community. It needs to start from a small community. Through small act of kindness, we can really change. We can really change the person next to us, our small communities, and then it's like a small act of contagious kindness. I think is the key. It's the key to achieve change, and it is my big hope for the future of our planet. If we are more generous, if we want to give something just for the sake of it. I'm reading a big, I'm sure Seth Godin is an American writer. I'm reading his book Lynchpin, and he talks about this concept of gift, which means offering something, without expecting something in return. And that is something I strongly believe in, trying to be offering something and then see if something changes. But if we all, in our small areas, in our small world, start with this, it can lead to a change, whatever it is.
It's just that so many more of us have to do that and believe that.
Yes.
And I think it's a younger person's, well, it's your world to inherit. I always say that, my generation, we're steeped in values that we learned in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and it doesn't work anymore. And you're such an example of the right things to do and the hope for tomorrow. These sound like great words and fancy words, but bottom line, it's all true. We need armies of young people to want to do things and not expect something back. like my generation did. I ain't doing something unless I get something back. You know, what's in it for me was kind of way my generation thought, what's in it for me? And it doesn't work anymore because it doesn't work anymore. We need a whole new attitude, and we need to talk like we're doing. Great philosophy of mine. Talk, keep talking and talking,
Definitely,
talking and
definitely.
thinking, and it'll help to spark some change. It has to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is
Yeah.
what I truly believe as well.
Yeah.
You know, when I tried to find what I wanted to do in life, I had to in life, not in life, as my career, you know, I had to dig into my childhood and really find out what I was passionate about. And then I really found in like what I loved as a child, being really connected to what we are facing right now, you know, the issue we are facing right now. You know, again, as a child growing up in a farm, I was like living in a reality, which for me was normal. And now, listening to a lot of stories about, you know, the climate change and how biodiversity is becoming like so an issue in so many ways, like in terms of that we have issue with like biodiversity in so many ways. And then I thought I had to do something that can offer me a living while doing something that it's actually doing some good.
And motion aptitude is that.
It's a fusion of this, all of
Yes.
this.
Yes. Well, this is a great place to do a wrap. Uh, um, this has been great, and we talked about this beforehand. You graciously accepted to join our little climate optimist group, which we changed the name a little bit. We'll call Climate Optimists Group, and in parenthesis, not everything is fine. And it's just an informal group, but that's part of the key to a future is a whole bunch of us, a couple billion people getting around and talking and thinking, and you're such a dynamic example of that. This whole new attitude, this whole youthful attitude, this whole approach to giving back and all you do. So I can't thank you enough for giving up a Saturday afternoon in the UK. I still got a couple hours left in my morning. But Giuseppe, please come back. We'll talk about that. Come back. I can't thank you enough. I'm so thrilled I met you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for inviting me. And again, it was a great opportunity for me to talk about what I do and why
Yeah.
I do it. And again, I truly believe that what you do is great, not just because you do it for the environment, for our planet Earth, but because you are giving people the opportunity to show what they do and why they do it, and why it has a meaning as well. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. So we'll do a wrap. You'll come back. We've got a lot more to do. We'll have panels. And thank you so much, Giuseppe. You did make my day because my day's beginning. So thank you.
Arrivederci.
Yes, arrivederci. Yes, I know how to say that. Don't leave. I'm just going to stop the recording and we'll do a real wrap. Thanks, Giuseppe.
Thank you.